Awesome. All right, guys, welcome everyone. Welcome to Listings 911. We're going to have some fun today. And just a reminder, so I appreciate you guys all for showing up here today. This is a three-part series, and we're doing this for the month of August as we lead up to MegaCamp. And part one, of course, today, we're going to be talking about the top 3 opportunities in today's market. And we're going to have some fun doing it. And I promise you, you're going to have an action item afterwards. Part 2 is next week. That's where we're going to break down the top 5 techniques on listing conversion. So how do we get our appointment gone on to listing signed, conversion up? And that's going to be next week. And then, of course, the week after, we're talking about all of our favorite conversation right now, price reductions, right? And how we can make sure that we're nailing it every time. So don't forget, you do have to register for each one. I'm sure we're going to send out an email again, for the one for next week. Hopefully you like what you hear today as well, but you do have to register for each one. So with that said, who am I? I'm MAP's executive coach and head coach, Aaron Simons. I've been selling real estate in San Diego for over 18 years and coaching for almost 10 years. I've taken over 1,000 listings. I think that's closer to 1,500 now. And look, I've had the privilege of coaching some of the top teams in our company. Now, my goal for you today is I want you to leave here with an action plan to generate more listings starting today. And I promise you, you will have a homework assignment after today. I promise you that, all right? And so with that said, we're gonna go fast. I don't have a slide deck. However, the webinar is being recorded. So if for some reason you missed something, don't worry, you can go back, you can watch it as many times as needed. And I will do my best to keep up on the chat, but we're moving fast, so my apologies. If I see a comment, if I see a question, we are going to be going fast. So if I don't get to it, hopefully we'll have some time at the end for questions. Can't guarantee it, but I will try and keep an eye on it as we go. So with that said, all right, let's jump into it. So here's the deal. We're all here because we know the market has shifted, right? No longer do we have artificially low interest rates, double-digit appreciation. It's a thing of the past. For the last 12 years, as we all have experienced, it's been a no-brainer to buy a home, right? We've had low interest rates, we've had double-digit appreciation. What could go wrong? Nothing. And so people were buying homes without any challenges. And also, it was a no-brainer to sell a home and buy another one. You're in a house, it doesn't have a pool. Hey, no big deal. We've got a ton of equity. Let's go ahead and sell this house. We'll buy a house with a pool. We'll trade our 3% interest rate for a 3% interest rate. Everybody wins. And that's what's been happening for the last umpteen years. Now, though, it's different. So all of those opportunistic buyers, all of those opportunistic sellers are gone. They're out of the market. Their ship has sailed. So the question becomes, who is going to make up the top opportunities for home sellers in this new market? Now, I know we've probably all heard of the 4 Ds, right? Right or wrong, we've heard of the 4 Ds: death, divorce, drugs, and disability. These have always been the 4 Ds of have-to sellers in real estate, right? Now, we don't have time to go through all the Ds today, but I do want to narrow that down a little bit for you. And since, again, we only have 30 minutes, we'll get pretty specific on it. Here's what we know. What we know right now in the United States is the population is aging. Baby boomers make up the biggest part of the population, followed by their parents, who are the seniors. And so for those of you that don't know, baby boomers are defined as those born between 1946 and 1964. So for all of you boomers that are here with us today, welcome. And then, so you guys, right? You guys and gals make up the largest percentage of the population, followed by seniors, right? And seniors, for those of you that don't know, have always been dubbed the greatest generation, right? Those are their parents. So largest demographic are boomers, followed by the seniors, right? Some people call it the silver tsunami, whatever. But here's the deal. This fact is resulting in a huge opportunity that, for us in the real estate business, because when we think about it, the boomers and the seniors are not impacted by interest rate hikes. They're not impacted by inflation. They're not impacted by recession. And oftentimes they're able to sell and take advantage of the huge amount of appreciation that they've realized over the last couple of years, right? And a lot of them are have-to sellers. And so when we look at the top 3 opportunities right now, here's the way that I define it. And by the way, this is not me guessing. Every week, right, when I'm coaching the top teams across the country, I always ask them about their listings. And more importantly, what are they doing? And 75% of the listings fall into these 3 categories. Number 1, boomers downsizing. Boomers downsizing. What are they doing? Well, hey, they're retiring early in some cases, or they're just retiring. In some cases, they're downsizing and buying a vacation home for all you Floridians, right? They're also, by the way, helping their kids buy houses, because with I'm in San Diego. I mean, how does anyone afford to buy a home if you don't have equity or stock options coming over? So what do? They downsize, they take that cash, they help their kids buy a house. What they're also doing is they're helping fund their grandkids' college education. We see a lot of that going on. They're also, by the way, cashing out their investment properties. So boomers own a lot of investment real estate. And guess what? They don't need the cash flow, a lot of them. They would rather say, forget the headache, cash it out. Capital gain taxes will never be cheaper than what they are today. Let's cash it out and let's go ahead and take that money, stick it in our retirement account, and we're good. We don't need the headache of the monthly cash flow. Give us the chunk of money. By the way, both of my parents in the last 12 months divorced. Not they divorced in the last 12 months, but each of them sold their properties for that exact reason, right? So anyway, so that's number 1. Boomers are downsizing. Number 2, seniors transitioning into a retirement facility, right? We are seeing that. And then number 3, families who are inheriting property, right? Our loved one passed, now they're inheriting property and they need to do something with it, oftentimes sell it. Now, the reality is we could talk for days on each of these 3 topics, right? We could spend 3 months on boomers alone. We could spend 3 months on retirement facilities and strategies to go and create relationships to get referrals. Same thing with families inheriting property. We could spend 3 months just talking about the probate process and how to prospect executors. However, we don't have all day. We only have 30 minutes. So we're going to narrow that down because I want to make sure you walk out of here with an immediate action plan that can tie all 3 of those together, which is what I'm going to do. And also, by the way, I already shared with you, it's what I've noticed on the teams that I coach, that 75% of their listings are coming back through these 3 sources. If you were to look at your own listings over the last 12 months, I bet you that you would probably see the same thing. 75% of them probably are falling into one of those 3 categories. The 25%, those are the people that do, growing family, financial gain, relocation, right? But I bet if you look at your listings over the last 12 months, it's probably going to be a big bulk of these 3 things. All right, now, so with that said, what do these 3 groups have in common, right? Here's what they have in common. It's their need for professionals such as estate planning attorneys, CPAs, and financial planners, right? Think about it. These professionals are on the front lines just like us, and they're coming across clients every single week who have real estate needs. So here's what I want you to think about. So let's take the first category of boomers downsizing. So might that boomer have a question for their CPA about capital gain taxes, right? Might they have questions for their financial planner about if they're downsizing, where they can get their proceeds to get a nice, safe return? You bet, right? And by the way, they usually call those professionals before they call us. They're thinking ahead. They go on Zillow, they have a rough valuation of their home. They're going to those professionals before they come to us. Let's take the second category, right? Seniors transitioning into a retirement facility. Or by the way, they could be transitioning to live with their kids. We see a lot of that happening. So might that senior or the person caring for them have the same questions of their CPA and their financial planner? And, right, might they need to contact an estate planning attorney to update their will or their trust, right? Because some facilities do require this, right? If you're a senior and you're helping your loved one move into a facility, they have to have their estate planning all done in order to move into that facility. And a lot of people, it's not the most exciting thing to do. We'll get to that in a second. And then the third group, right? Inheriting property. So if a loved one does pass, regardless of whether they have a trust, right, or it was going through probate, you're going to be interacting with an estate planning attorney and a CPA, right? Because you do have to file, right, the last final taxes. So regardless of whether it's a trust or a probate, there's an estate planning attorney and a CPA involved, hands down. So as you can see, it's impossible for these professionals to conduct business without coming across clients who have real estate needs on a regular basis, right? And by the way, for anyone joining late, it is recorded. So if you did come in late, you will get the recording. You didn't miss anything. Joe, and I see you, you didn't miss anything. All right. So as I mentioned, all of these professionals are coming across people with real estate needs. And here's the funny thing. All of you real estate agents are also coming across clients on a regular basis as well that have needs for these professionals as well. Are you not? Yeah, of course you are. How many times in a listing presentation over the last year, 2 years, 3 years, as appreciation has grown, have you had to have the conversation about the capital gain exemption? Right? It's almost on every listing. They built up so much equity. It's like, wait a minute, we actually have to talk about this. By the way, you might want to double check with your CPA. Like, we're having these conversations. So let's use estate planning attorneys, though, as an example. And what percentage of homeowners actually own their real estate in a trust? And you can actually even go further and say, what percent of homeowners actually have ever done any form of estate planning, right? But the answer is around only 5%. Now, we don't have time on this call to go into the benefits of a trust, and just so you know, they are real, right? And we should all own, well, I'm not an attorney, but the benefits are real. So here's a question. How many buyers did you close over the last 12 months, right? Think about that number, right? And then take 90% of that number. How many of those buyers did you actually refer to an estate planning attorney to talk about protecting their assets in a trust? Chances are none of us did that, right? And yet you can see, right, there's a huge opportunity. And as you can see, we, right, have referrals for those professionals just like they have referrals for us. The only problem is neither of us are talking to each other about it. And it's not our fault, right? It's not their fault. We're just busy doing our jobs. And therefore, these referral opportunities go unrealized. And I used to do a lot of lead generating with executors on probates. And I was always amazed that 70% of the time, the attorney did not refer them to a real estate agent. Only 30% of the time would I get an executor on the phone and they would say, oh yeah, my attorney referred me somebody. And the funny thing is half the time they didn't even like that agent. So they were looking for a second opinion. So I'm not talking theory here. I'm telling you guys, the referrals are there. Now you might ask the question, well, how come those attorneys aren't being proactive? Well, how come you're not being proactive, right? The reality though, the answer to that question is they just don't have someone good, right? Oftentimes, and they don't want to be made to look bad. Usually it just comes down to that. Also, no one's asking them, right? No one's asking them. And here's the thing, if that attorney, right, were to call you today, you would have a referral for them. Based on what we just talked about, if an estate planning attorney called you today, right, you would have a referral for them. The answer is yes, you would. Anyone who's working with a buyer has a referral for them. And if you were to call that attorney or that CPA or that financial planner or pick whatever professional you want, right, those to me, I think are the top three. If you were to call them, you better believe that they'd have a referral for you. It would be impossible, like we've already talked about in their business, with what boomers, with what seniors, with what families are doing in terms of inheriting property, it would be impossible for any of those three professionals to not be working with a family right now that has a referral for you. Does that make sense? You guys see the opportunity here, right? And because the point I want to make is, it's not like we have to lead generate and then hope they come across somebody. I'm telling you right now, they have them in their files today for you, just like you in your pipeline have them for them, right? So, all right, hopefully that's a light bulb moment, because that was the crux of this whole call, is that this is the opportunity. This is the opportunity, okay? So, number one, where do we find these professionals? And then, of course, number two, what does the conversation look like? And we're gonna tackle number one first, right? And again, for anyone who joined a little bit late, the three opportunities, just as a reminder: boomers downsizing, seniors transitioning, families inheriting property. So where do we find these professionals? All right, well, here's the cool thing. You guys are already connected to these people. You are already connected. And the easiest way to go about this is typically over the phone by referral, right? The easiest way is typically over the phone by referral, getting referred to one of them. Now, you could, if you want to go the hard way, actually, I'm going to say the hard way. If you wanted an alternative, if let's say you said, no, I'm not connected to any of these people, you could simply just type in top estate planning attorneys in Google or Yelp, and you could cold call them, and I'll give you the same conversation for them. But I'm betting, you guys are like me, you want the easy way, right? And that's via referral. So here's what we do. All right, well, I'll start with this one, because I'm assuming that you've all paid your taxes, right? It's only the agents from the other real estate companies that don't pay their taxes, right? But all of us here on this call probably pay our taxes, and I know a lot of you probably use a CPA. And we can start there. So here's what that looks like. First off, if we reach out to our CPA, the first question should be, hey, by the way, CPA, who do you have that has a real estate need that right now that I can be talking to? But secondly, and most importantly, here's what we ask the CPA. We say, look, Mr. and Mrs. CPA, who do you refer your clients to when they have estate planning needs? How hard was that, right? Who do you refer your clients to when they have estate planning needs? And so let's just take this, and they will refer you someone. Why? Because most all of these professionals get their business through other professional referrals. It's how it works. So it's almost guaranteed that they're going to give you a name of an estate plan attorney. So here's the cool thing. You call that attorney and you say, hey, so-and-so CPA referred me to you and thought it might be a good idea for us to connect to see how we can help each other's business. Got it? That's the conversation. So-and-so CPA referred me to you and thought it would be a good idea for us to connect to see how we might be able to help each other's business. Okay, that's the first part. I'm going to give you the second part of the conversation, right? And the key there is that anytime we call a professional and we say so-and-so referred me to you, they take that call, right? If we're just calling through Yelp or through Google, it might take a couple calls until you get someone to listen to you. But either way, here's the next conversation, right? You say to them, you see, I represent about X number of buyers each month or each year, and many of them would benefit from establishing a trust to protect their assets. Are you taking on new clients? Right? That's the conversation. You see, look, I'm representing about X number of buyers per month or year, use whatever statistic you want, right? And many of them would benefit from establishing a trust to protect their assets. Are you taking on new clients? If yes, great, let's meet so we can discuss. By the way, it's the same conversation for CPA. Hey, I'm meeting with a lot of sellers who are having questions about capital gain taxes, and I need somewhere to refer them. Are you taking on new clients? Financial planner, we're helping a lot of people who are downsizing and are looking for someone to put their proceeds. Are you taking on new clients? You guys got it? So number one, we now know where to find the professionals. And number two, we now know what to say. Now let's make it even better, right? Let's make it even better. So now let's say we're meeting with that attorney who our CPA referred us to. And by the way, you don't have to start with the CPA. I just use that one because most of us have one since we do our taxes. You can start with your lender, your insurance guy or gal, whatever, your title reps, doesn't matter to me. But usually those white collar professionals, right, travel in the same circles. So, okay, so we're meeting with that attorney and we ask them, hey, by the way, attorney, who do you typically refer your clients to when they need financial planning advice. And so now our CPA referred us to that attorney. We're sitting in front of that attorney and we're asking them for a referral to a financial planner. And so now we have another referral from one professional to another. And now we can complete the circle. So now we go and we meet with Mr. and Mrs. Financial Planner, and we can ask them the question, hey, by the way, who do you typically refer your clients to who have accounting needs? Because chances are that CPA that they refer us to might be different than the one we started with. What's that game with Kevin Bacon, right? Is it 10 degrees of separation or whatever? That's kind of the game we're playing here. Yeah, 6 degrees, thank you, right? That's kind of the game we're playing here, right? What we're doing is each professional we connect with, we're just simply asking them a question to get a referral to another professional. And it doesn't matter that we just met that attorney. When we call that financial planner, right? We just say, hey, so-and-so attorney referred me to you. They don't have to know that we just met them, right? An hour ago. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? It's how we can grow it by referral, right? And so you can see, right? I call it the referral train, and it's the gift that just keeps on giving, right? Over and over again, if we just keep asking each of our professionals for referrals to other professionals. We don't ever have to go and cold call through Yelp or Google or whatever, right? Make sense? So we know how to find them. We know what to say to them. Let's now be clear though. It does take effort, right? Chances are, I've had many clients who have taken this on, and on that first call, they actually did get that referral. That happens, just like with expireds, right? Some of them, bam, we can set an appointment on that first call. Some of them take a little bit more follow-up. This is no different, right? This is no different. But we do want to make sure that we're generating ongoing referrals, right? We don't want to be one and done. And so what that looks like, and here's what the follow-up game looks like. We have to remember, the minute we meet with this professional, right? And the minute that meeting's over, they're going to forget about us. So here's what it looks like to follow up. Very simple. So remember, just like you, they're opening cases every single week, every single month. So therefore, we need to be checking in with them every single month. And in fact, we need to be checking in with them twice a month. One phone call, one email. So every 2 weeks, we're alternating phone call, email, right? And here's what we're saying when we follow up with them. You know, hey, Mr. Mrs. Attorney, right? It's me, the real estate agent. Can you believe fall is almost here? I'm just checking in to see what new cases you're working on that have a real estate need I can help with. I'm just checking in to see what new cases you're working on that have a real estate need that I can help with. By the way, same conversation, whether it's phone call, email, right? We don't need to spend much time in the beginning. Can you believe fall is almost here? Wow, can you believe August is upon us? Whatever. And then jump right into it. Hey, I'm just checking in to see what new cases you're working on that have a real estate need I can help with. Phone call, email, every 2 weeks. You don't have to mix it up. It's the same conversation. Now, if you want bonus credit, you stop by their office once a quarter with some goodies for them and their team. Bagels, coffee, donuts, whatever. If you want, by the way, that's kind of like remember old school title reps? They'd always be stopping by the office before RESPA with all sorts of good things for us. That's in essence the role we play. Now, if you want bonus credit, you could do a quarterly micro event where you bring all the professionals together to have fun or to network, right? Be a connector, be a connector. And here's the question I know everyone's going to have. Do we have to give them a referral for every referral they give us? People get tripped up on this because some people say, can I have more than one attorney? Yeah, you better have more. You need like 10 of them because it's the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of them are going to give you 80% of the referrals. The answer is no. It's not a one-for-one gig, meaning, and that would be impossible. Don't feel that pressure. No one's keeping score. And I promise you, that professional will never call you and ask for a referral. It's not how they're wired. It's not how they're wired. We know that we need to be proactive and aggressive. It's not how they're wired, right? So go out and build a database of 10, 20, 50 attorneys or CPAs, financial planners, and get after it. We should all have a goal at a minimum of adding one professional a week to our database. And keep in mind, and as long as we start to do proper follow-up twice a week, twice a month, phone call, email, the referrals are there. The referrals are there. So here's how we're going to summarize this. You're now clear on the top 3 opportunities: boomers downsizing, seniors transitioning, families inheriting property. Number 2, you're now clear, of course, on how to find these professionals by referral, or if you want to go the hard way. And then number 3, we're clear on what to say to land the appointment with them so that we can build that relationship and get the referrals from them when we're in front of them. And by the way, the minute you get in front of them, you better ask the question, who are you working with right now that has a real estate need that I should be calling? You better ask them that question, right? Because if we don't ask specifically for what we want, they can't read our minds. So your homework here is 2 things. 2 things, and I think we'll have a minute or 2 here for questions if you want to put them in the chat. 2 things. Number 1, go set an appointment with a professional. And then number 2, this is the most important one, register for next week's webinar. If you like today's on lead generation, next week we're talking about increasing conversion on the listing appointment. I promise you it will be amazing. How can it not be? And so I'll throw that here in the chat. I believe that's the registration link. If not, I'm sure we'll send you an email about it. Also, if you ever have any follow-up questions and you want to reach me directly, there you go. That's my email. That is, I promise you, my cell phone. Don't all call it now. And like I said, I appreciate you guys for being here. I know you guys are busy, but you took time out of your day to come and better your craft. So I appreciate you all for that. So with that said, because we do have 3 minutes, look at that, impeccable timing. We do have 3 minutes left. If you guys have a question, I'm here for you. Throw it in the chat. That's going to be the best way. If you try to unmute yourself, it might get a little bit ugly. There's 100 of you or so. Or 57 today. There you go. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Amanda, the great Amanda Howard said, a lender I use encouraged me to start asking 1 to 10, how would you rate your financial planner? Ooh, oh, you know what? Thank you, Amanda. So here's another fun one. You guys all have past clients. You guys all have past clients. You call up your past client. Oh, hey, by the way, past client, do you hold your real estate in a trust? If not, I'd be happy to refer you to a great attorney who can share the benefits with you. If they say yes, you say to them, hey, by the way, I'm always looking for great attorneys. Who did you use to put together your trust? So we can actually go make our past client calls and we can just simply ask them if they have a trust, who they used. If they don't, we can now generate a referral for one of our attorneys. You guys get that? And here's one thing you should know, because someone asked me the other day, well, is it our job? You know what? Every person, first off, you'd be surprised at how many high net worth individuals in your world have this on their list. They're just busy. They're busy. They're busy, right? And when you bring it up to them as their real estate advisor, they are so grateful and so thankful that you're pushing them to take care of themselves and their family. Because trust me, if you do a lot of work with probates, you see a lot of very, very sad stories that could have been avoided had they done proper estate planning up front. It's not the most exciting thing to do for anyone who's gone through the process of creating a trust. I mean, there's some heavy questions you got to answer, down to like, what happens with the dog, right? But everybody's always thankful for it, right? Quick comment, financial planning, if no one has, go ahead. Amanda, go ahead. I got 1 more minute.
Yeah, I just want to comment that one of my financial planners is one of my biggest referral partners. And what I mean by that is he will call and say, hey, these people need to sell. But also it is turned into, hey, my clients are moving to South Carolina. Who do you know? And I will take those referrals all day long.
Yeah, you know what? This database, when we build it up, it's the gift that keeps on giving. And it's only going to get bigger as the population continues to age. It's only going to get bigger. So, all right, guys, I hope I see you all back here next week. I'll be here. I have a recording. I will send it out, at some point here in the next 24 hours. So if you want to go back and watch it, feel free, share it. I'm here for you guys. See you, everybody.
Good to see you,